Centuries ago, amidst the lush valleys and endless mountains of Scotland, a hero was born who ignited the flame of freedom. His name was William Wallace. He became not just a symbol of Scotland's quest for freedom, but a beacon for those seeking liberty around the world. A warrior, a leader, a legend. Yet Wallace's story encompasses much more than the clash of swords and the roar of the battlefield. It's a tale of justice, courage, and an unyielding love for freedom. In the twilight of the Dark Ages, Scotland writhed under the cruel grip of an invasion. The English throne had laid its iron fist upon Scottish lands, oppressing its people under tyranny. In these dire times, a beacon of hope shone brightly. A young man named William Wallace emerged to stand against injustice. He would fight for freedom and risk everything to free his people from the chains of tyranny. Wallace's saga is an epic portrayal of bravery, sacrifice, and the struggle for freedom. This video narrates the legend of William Wallace, his struggles, victories, and tragedies, and the steadfast steps towards independence taken by Scotland. He leaves us not just with a heart ablaze with the love of freedom, but also as a guiding light for future generations filled with courage and determination. And now let's draw back the curtain and journey through the dusty pages of history to witness the legendary tale of William Wallace. Witness the birth of a hero, a nation's fight for freedom, and the lasting legacy of a legend. Before we embark on this legendary journey, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Are you ready? Let's get started. Once upon a time, in the Scottish countryside under English occupation, a child was born who would ignite the flame of freedom. William Wallace grew up with a warrior's spirit and a passionate love for freedom. His story began in Ellerslie, a tranquil village where his character was shaped and the seeds of future heroics were sown. Wallace's family taught him the importance of justice, courage, and a deep commitment to his people's liberty. Young William grew up with a desire to defend Scotland's independence and his people's freedom. His childhood was spent witnessing the sufferings of a people oppressed under English occupation, igniting a fire for freedom in his heart. During these times, Scotland was in the midst of a social and political storm. The English government ruled over Scottish lands with an iron fist, oppressing the people and crushing their free will. Yet, the spirit of the Scots remained unbroken. Their love for freedom burned brightly even under occupation. Young William Wallace, amidst this turmoil, was preparing to rise as a leader who would stand against injustice and fight for his people's freedom. This is not just the story of a child's growth, but also the birth of a legendary hero destined to change the fate of a nation. William Wallace's childhood and youth laid the foundation for his character, beliefs, and future struggles. In these challenging times under English occupation, a hero's heart was shaped and the flame of Scotland's freedom struggle was ignited in Wallace's soul. Silently and with deep sorrow, a turning point in William Wallace's life was approaching. This was not only the beginning of a people's freedom struggle, but also the story of a man's personal tragedy. The flame of Scotland's independence was fueled by the brutal killing of his beloved Moran. This ignited the spark of transformation and resistance in Wallace. Moran's tragic loss awakened a deep rage and an unshakable spirit of defiance against injustice in Wallace's heart. Her death directed Wallace's struggle. It became not just a fight for freedom, but also a quest for justice for a lost innocent life. To honor Moran's memory and end the oppression suffered by innocents like her, Wallace raised his sword and led a movement that would change the fate of a nation. This tragedy transformed Wallace into the symbol of Scotland's independence struggle. The initial uprisings, now fueled by a personal desire for vengeance, combined with the quest for freedom, ignited. Wallace united his people against English tyranny, showing them that resistance was not only possible, but necessary. Each conflict, each act of defiance, was dedicated to Moran's memory and the freedom of Scotland. Under Wallace's leadership, Scotland's freedom struggle transformed from the brave actions of a handful of rebels to a movement that united and shaped the destiny of an entire nation. Each battle, victory, and defeat was part of the steps taken for freedom. William Wallace, from a personal story of loss with Moran, became a hero fighting for the freedom of a nation. The story of William Wallace and Moran narrates the battle for freedom, love, and justice. And now I ask you, if you were in William Wallace's place, how far would you go to win your freedom and avenge your loved one? The sky was a vast expanse of gray on the morning of the battle. Atop and around Stirling Bridge, the fate of a nation yearning for freedom was to be determined. William Wallace had gathered the Scottish warriors, igniting a flame of hope in their hearts. Facing them was the numerically superior English army. Yet Wallace and his men were prepared to risk everything for freedom. Wallace's strategy showcased not just his battlefield intelligence, but also a profound understanding and foresight. Stirling Bridge served as a narrow passage, limiting the English advance. Utilizing this geographical advantage, Wallace rendered the enemy's numerical superiority meaningless. The Scottish warriors took strategic positions on both sides of the bridge, launching their attack as the English attempted to cross. This bold tactic caught the English off guard. Trapped in the narrow passage, the English soldiers faced the wrath of the Scots. Wallace and his men, fueled by a fire for freedom, managed to halt the English advance. This battle marked a turning point in Scotland's fight for independence, breathing new life into the nation's hopes for freedom. The Battle of Stirling Bridge proved William Wallace was not just a warrior, but a master of strategy. This victory solidified his and Scotland's legendary fight for freedom, though it came at a high cost, with the struggle far from over. Following the victory at Stirling Bridge, Wallace's name echoed across Scotland as a symbol of freedom. However, this newfound hope was tested by a bitter defeat at Falkirk. In 1298, Wallace and the Scottish warriors faced the English forces on the wide plains of Falkirk, marking another significant challenge in Scotland's quest for independence. Despite Wallace's strategic genius and the bravery of the Scottish warriors, the Battle of Falkirk ended in a painful defeat. The heavy cavalry and long-range archers of the English army dealt severe blows to the heart of the Scottish resistance. This defeat was a major setback to Scotland's hopes for independence, deeply shaking the resistance movement led by Wallace. The aftermath of Falkirk forced Wallace to reconsider his strategies and objectives. Once seen as an indomitable defender of freedom, he now stepped into the forefront of diplomatic and strategic efforts, seeking support across Europe to continue Scotland's fight for independence. The events following the Battle of Falkirk marked a challenging period for Wallace and Scotland. Yet they also proved that the spirit of resistance and the desire for freedom would never fade. Falkirk showed that the Scottish resistance movement lived not just on the battlefields, but in the hearts and souls of the people. Now, I ask you, how do you think the meaning of the struggle for freedom changed for William Wallace and the Scottish people after the Battle of Falkirk? How could this tragic defeat have affected their spirit of resistance? If you've enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's continue with what happened to William Wallace after the Battle of Falkirk. After Falkirk, William Wallace remained a symbol of resistance against the English forces. However, increasing pressure from the English and betrayals within Scotland led to his downfall. In 1305, betrayed by a Scottish nobleman, Wallace was captured near Glasgow by the English. His capture sent shockwaves throughout Scotland and beyond. Wallace was taken to London and tried for treason against the King of England in a one-sided trial aimed at reinforcing English dominance over Scotland. He was publicly executed, his head severed, and his body quartered, with parts sent across Scotland. William Wallace's execution marked a turning point in Scotland's fight for independence. Rather than extinguishing the Scottish desire for freedom, it ignited their spirit of resistance even more. Wallace's martyrdom transformed him from a mere warrior to an immortal symbol of Scotland's struggle for freedom. Wallace's legacy of courage, sacrifice, and resistance against injustice continues to inspire freedom and independence movements worldwide. Monuments, museums, and cultural events in Scotland and around the world honor his memory, inspiring resistance fighters today and tomorrow. William Wallace's story reminds us of the power of the individual and the importance of collective struggle. His legacy as a symbol of the fight for freedom and independence will live on forever, inspiring future generations. Wallace's life and struggle highlight the universal value of freedom and the importance of fighting for it. His story is not just a history lesson, but a guide and inspiration for the future. How does this eternal struggle for freedom and justice resonate in your life? Take care and see you in the next video.